I was en route from the coastal United States of America to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Intended destination was a small island named Culebra. I received a favorable forecast on December 26th. I waited for a front to pass. I had a good 5-day forecast and headed offshore. Late Tuesday night, the weather struck. Wednesday afternoon on into Wednesday evening, I saw the largest seas I had yet experienced. At that point, I had damaged steering. All my electronics were flooded with salt water. The wheel pilot failed, and I was unable to steer the boat. Conditions worsened on Friday. I was pretty badly battered by this time myself. There was really nothing working on the boat except me. On Saturday, the boat was turned mostly upside down when it was thrown off of another sea. When I could see again, the EPIRB was on. I had always believed that I would use my EPIRB as I was climbing out of my sinking boat into a life raft. Something told me not to turn it off. A couple hours later, the Coast Guard had dispatched a C-130 Hercules. I have to say this, the people who work for the U.S. Coast Guard are all heroes in my book. When another large sea broke on, it just happened so fast. The Gloria a Dios was violently rolled over 360 degrees. I was caught by my right knee and dragged under the surface of the Atlantic. And when I reached the surface, I could see the boat about 30 feet away, and I desperately tried to swim and catch that sailboat. I saw her sail away and leave me there. And I was alone in the dark in the storm, 250 miles offshore. I kicked off my boots and just started to swim. While I was floating there in the dark, I saw the second C-130 aircraft return to the area. Only they couldn't find me. I wasn't on my boat anymore. It was dark. I saw their lights. They were flying over there. I knew they would look for me, but I knew that they wouldn't find me. And then sometime, as I struggled on, continuing to pray, I bumped into a life raft in the dark. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. I was freezing, but I knew I was going to live. I patted down my pocket, and in my pocket I found a cheap, non-waterproof flashlight. I turned it on and I shined it at that helicopter, and the guy flew right over there to me. They flew right to my position. That diver came down in there. Kyle Need, Navy, U.S. Navy. He came down into that storm for me. That is the bravest thing I've ever seen anybody do in my life. Guys in that helicopter really knew what they were doing. They had to dodge the tops of those waves while they had their guy and me down there in the water. They drug us through 2 of those waves. That was okay. We were going up. The helicopter took me to the deck of the Eisenhower. I'd been cold and wet for 4 days. I didn't have any shoes, but I was sure glad to be there. The EPIRB I had was an older model. It was manually deployed, and it did not contain a GPS locator, and so it did not encrypt a GPS location into the signal. I'm very glad I had that beacon, and I actually spoke to a representative of the manufacturer, and I told him that I was a very satisfied customer. The EPIRB was instrumental in saving my life. Now, the Coast Guard, the Navy, they were instrumental in saving my life also.